This year's Battlefield title, Battlefield 2042, has finally been announced, and in this video, I'm going to give you all the most important details about the game, all in 1 minute. After that, if you want more info, stick around, but for now, let's go. As the date implies, Battlefield 2042 takes place in a near-apocalyptic near future where extreme weather events have led to resource conflicts. The major players, the USA and Russia, are on the brink of war, but in-game, you fight for a group of expats known as task forces. This Battlefield title will feature the largest player count ever in the franchise history. If you have a next-gen console or a PC, you're going to have up to 128 players per match. To match that higher player count, the maps are being described as absolutely massive, the largest in the history of the Battlefield franchise. Destruction is also back. Besides the usual small barrier and micro-destruction, there's also going to be map-changing levolution moments. Unlike previous games though, these aren't totally scripted and can have multiple different outcomes. Iconic game modes like Conquest and Breakthrough are back. Content will not be locked out behind a premium mode, but there will be a live service with a battle pass. All of this launches on all platforms on October 23rd. Whew. Alright then, hey folks, Dave here, and we're going to be looking at some more details from the announcement trailer, a few things you might have missed, and then I'll have some thoughts as well, as I guess it's a 19-year franchise veteran now at this point. Small details like, did you notice that it looks like the debris particle effects, an effect that's usually just part of the background of the map and just clips through everything, appears to actually have physics as it gets stuck on this soldier's rifle buttstock right there. Pretty cool, right? Especially if you consider that particle effects like that could really be going wild during these larger levolution events. Seeing debris, paper, smoke, and fire actually wrap around stuff as the chaos of the battlefield on these larger maps unfolds could be really, really cool. One area about Battlefield 2042 that we don't know a whole lot about just yet are their specialists. Instead of having a small amount of class archetypes, specialists are going to let you actually customize your character more deeply for how you want to play. While there's going to be more specialists to pick from than traditional Battlefield classes, they all will fall into a generic Battlefield class from previous games, like Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon, for example. Each specialist has 2 traits. For example, the Assault types can actually move more quickly and have gadgets like a grappling hook for one particular specialist. Because you can actually use any weapon in the game with any specialist, you're really going to just pick the particular specialist that suits your playstyle at the moment, and you might find yourself getting a bit more creative with your favorite loadouts. 2042 will have 10 of those specialists at launch, with more to come in the Battle Pass. There will also be an interesting layer of additional customization where you will be able to customize your loadout with what's called the Plus system while you're already spawned into the match. Activating the Plus system will bring up a UI menu over your weapon, kind of like Crysis back in the day, which will show you all of your different attachments, and you'll be able to tweak things as you want. It's not clear if that's just for the particular weapon that you spawned with, or if you'll be able to completely change weapons without respawning. In my opinion, that would be a bit too far and pretty hard to balance. We'll have to see though. All of the specialists announced so far are named, and it's not clear if you'll be able to play as a more generic soldier or what level of customization might be available to keep it from being an army of clones out there in the battlefield. But again, we haven't seen it in action yet, so I'm going to hold back judgment for now. It would be a shame to see a large step back from the amount of customization that we had in Battlefield 5. Going back to that larger 128 player count with larger maps to go with it, this is a thing that I've wanted in a Battlefield title for a long time. I love the larger maps, and hearing that although we're only going to have 7 maps at launch, all of them are going to have super large versions is really exciting for me. To keep the action moving on these larger scale maps with even more players, in both Conquest mode and Breakthrough, capture points are broken up into individual sectors. As an example, instead of a capture point just being a series of barns and sheds, it might actually be a couple of different farms side by side, requiring your team to control all of the objectives in that entire area to capture the sector. For Conquest, that may actually reduce some of the merry-go-round grind of just quickly capturing a point and racing off to capture the next one, if it plays like more linear modes such as Breakthrough, where your team has to work together to actually hold and control the objectives with a more coordinated attack. We also have the size of the largest map, Breakaway, at 5.9 kilometers squared. That makes me happy, guys. One of my favorite things to do back in the older and generally larger scale Battlefield titles like Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 2142 was I loved being a transport pilot, just getting your guys to the front line. And with these larger maps with multiple objectives, I might be able to do that again, and that sounds awesome. Come on, DICE, just give me the controls of that Osprey and I promise you I'll get my squad on the objective safely, even if the landing might be a little bit exciting. In related exciting news, to deal with these large-scale maps, players are going to be able to request a transport vehicle at any point from anywhere on the map. I would imagine that these are going to be simple ATVs and stuff like that, but that's an age-old and difficult question for the Battlefield devs throughout the franchise is how do we deal with these big, large-scale maps and not have players just running for miles? In this case, the near future setting really comes in handy with that option for vehicle drops. Let's also talk more about that live service model for just a minute. As great as the content in the Premium Pass was for previous Battlefield titles, it would always divide the community. And now that the games have been out for a while, it's very hard to find servers running those awesome DLCs. So it was almost besides the point that the content was good if hardly anyone, percentage-wise, that played the game got to play the new content. Again though, 2042 is doing away with the premium system and using a Battle Pass model. There will be a free and a paid Battle Pass, but DICE is telling us that anything related to gameplay is going to be available in the free tier, and the paid tiers of the Battle Pass is going to focus on cosmetics mostly. We're going to learn more about the first Battle Passes as we get closer to launch, but it sounds like we're going to have 4 of them in that first year. And we should also get new maps and locations with those Battle Passes. It's just not clear how much content just yet. And now some disappointing news to round things out. There will be no Battle Royale right now. It's not planned, it's not in progress. They're not saying it would never happen, but they're saying don't expect it. And for me, that is a big disappointment because I thought that Firestorm in Battlefield 5 was incredible. It was just abandoned so quickly. And having to own that full $60 copy of the game really lowered the player count from the start, but I felt like Firestorm was a lot of fun to play because it was so familiar. It was the classic Battlefield formula just in Battle Royale, and it worked well. I hope they give it a go in a year or two with this title. We'll have to see though. For now, don't expect it. Also, definitely don't expect any kind of single player campaign because they are saying there is absolutely none and that will not change. As you can tell though, they have quite a bit of world building going on, so we are going to see some narrative stuff being woven into the multiplayer here and there, which is good to hear because the world is pretty interesting that they've set up for us here. Alright guys, well that's all the basics. Again, as a long-time 19-year veteran, I'm going to put some footage here in the corner of me watching the trailer. I am actually excited. You're not going to see me doing crazy, whoa, streamer face in the corner. This is Dave calmly watching a trailer he enjoys down there. But this is exciting for a modern warfare, slightly futuristic concept. I'm really glad that this is not just a remake of Battlefield 3 or 4, and they actually are bringing quite a few new things to the table, and not just the larger scale, but that is one of the things that I am most excited about. And the amount of fan service that was both in the trailer and in their ideas here for the game are pretty cool. Well, to finish things off, I want to point out a couple of small details that I personally noticed in the trailer as I was scrubbing through this 4K footage, 60 FPS, pixel peeping for all those juicy details. After all, the immersion requires it. First things first, I noticed a rather unique weapon being carried by one of our attempted escapees as the tornado comes in. The 45 ACP pistol caliber carbine being held by this soldier as he heads towards his doom appears to be an LWRC SMG-45. Here's a photo of one here. Now in real life, these things have had some pretty awful reliability issues despite the really high reputation of LWRC, so it looks like, at least here in our Battlefield 2042 timeline, they've worked the kinks out. Another detail that I noticed, which has me leaning towards some customization for soldiers is still going to be in-game, are the amount of close-up hero shots we have of soldiers' gear. DICE has put a lot of time into modeling the buckles and radio cables and connection wires and zippers and all this stuff on our uniforms here. I feel like they're hinting at you're going to be able to modify that, and that's going to be some of your customization. Just a guess though. One last detail from the trailer that I am pretty confident on is dynamic clouds though. It looks like at least some of our maps are going to have a more detailed and layered cloud cover for our planes and helicopters to fight in, which is awesome because we haven't seen that as often in previous Battlefield titles. Especially as players get better with the aircraft as the game's lifetime goes on, you need something to make it so that good pilots can't just eagle eye you from across the map and get to you as soon as you spawn. It's going to make those dogfights all the more intense. Alright guys, that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the video and maybe found it a bit informative. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the reveal. Did it meet your expectations? And are you looking forward to that gameplay as it drops on Sunday? For now, thanks for watching guys. I'll see you later.